Morning, guys. We on chapter 4 of Revelation. We've done the 7 churches, the 7 letters to the 7 churches. So we move on to another vision of John, and it says in verse 1, "After these things I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven." And so he looks up, and there's like a hole or a door, almost like a portal into heaven. And the first voice which I heard, that would have been Christ's voice, like the sound of a trumpet, like we went through in chapter 1, a trumpet, a clear, loud sound that Jesus is calling. Speaking with me, he says, "Come up here and I will show you what must take place after these things." And so now we're looking at future events, what must take place after he's written a letter to the 7 churches. So now we're looking, having a glimpse into the future. And it's wonderful that God has not only told us what has happened in the past, and we can look back and we look at the cross and what Jesus has done by paying for our sins, but we know God has told us how to live now, currently in our situation. But God has also told us what to prepare for in the future, what is to come. And so he has given us knowledge into the future. And it says here, verse 2, "Immediately I was in the Spirit," like he was in chapter 1, and we don't know, like even Paul himself may not know. He says whether I was in the flesh or not, or how I saw this, but it wasn't a fleshly vision, it was a spiritual vision. So he's seeing things through the Spirit. "And behold, a throne was standing in heaven," and a throne representing the authority and the judgment and the rule of God. God is the one who rules heaven, and he's on that throne. And so the first thing that John sees is that throne in heaven. And behold, a throne was standing in heaven, and one sitting on the throne. And he can't really see, just like we can't see God and live, he can't see what this throne, this person really on the throne. So all we got is just a few of the imagery of what we have on earth to describe God, which is very limited. But let's go on. And he says in verse 3, "And he who was sitting was like a jasper stone." And a jasper stone was the last stone on the breastplate of the high priest's jacket. And it's the foundation stone mentioned in Revelation 21 regarding the New Jerusalem. And the jasper stone is an inotropic stone, not an isotropic stone. So if you take cross-polarized light, which is like a pure light, and the scientists use this light as cross-polarized light to see whether a stone is isotropic or anisotropic. And the isotropic, when they put this light through, this pure light through the stone, it comes black. But the anisotropic stones, like this jasper, it comes the brilliant colors of the rainbow. And so we see an appearance of a rainbow around the throne, and this rainbow representing the glory of God. But not only that, if you remember back to the first covenant, the Noahic covenant, the sign of God's covenant was the rainbow, that he won't bring judgment onto the world in the form of a flood. In the same way, God's promises, and God has always got a heart for his people, and so he is sure with his signs, and he'll bring us through right to the end. And so let's just read on there. It says there, was like a jasper stone and a sardis in appearance, and some say maybe a reddish appearance. And there was a rainbow around the throne, like an emerald in appearance. It's almost like a greeny color. And these are beautiful, precious stones, and just a glimpse of using the stones that we have on earth to try and describe in some way the glory of heaven. Verse 4, "Around the stone were the 24 thrones, and upon the thrones I saw 24 elders." And again, elders are the head of the church, the leadership of the church. And so just as you had those 12 ministering spirits, or the 12 angels in the hand of Christ in the first chapter, the picture of Christ holding the church in his hands. And here we have the picture of the elders with thrones around God. And the church is so precious to Jesus, and it's so precious to God that it's there amongst the throne, and that we will rule and reign with him. And what a wonderful privilege it is to be a son of God, to be a child of God. And so that we are clothed, it says, in white garments and golden crowns on our heads. And He'll give us these crowns and these garments, and we will worship God forever and ever in heaven. We'll worship Jesus forever and ever in heaven. But what a glorious vision, a glorious picture of what is to come. So I trust you are encouraged today. Have a wonderful and have a godly day. God bless.